Welcome to the IREL podcast. Are you sick and tired of real estate gurus pitching their next free construction deal, only to find out years later they were completely wrong? Worried the next overseas conference you spend thousands to attend will only be used to sell overpriced lots in deserted developments? Join thousands of other international real estate seekers who are looking for their place in paradise without the sales pitch. Straight from your host, Taylor White.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of the IREL podcast. I am your host, Taylor White. We have an exciting show today with Laurie Silverman from Alon Properties in Tiberias, Israel, and we will get the true story on the local real estate scene and have you coming away wanting to investigate its local property market further or cross it off your shortlist entirely and continue listening. Right now from Laurie, you will learn why someone from a small farm town in Pennsylvania ended up in northern Israel and explains why Tiberias screams at her like no other place. The exact reasons why Laurie and her family chose Tiberias versus other well-known Israeli locations like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, uncovers what the local currency is in Israel, and better explains what its currency rate is versus other popular currencies like the US dollar. Reveals the exact areas she is recommending today to her company's clients and how listeners of this show can take advantage. Provides her own on-the-ground insights on how she sees the local real estate market performing over the next several years, and much more. And don't forget, if you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Laurie's contact details, links on buying or selling Tiberias real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/14. That's irelpodcast.com/14. Grab yourself a lemonada, some pita bread and hummus, and get ready for Laurie's insights. In case you can't tell, I'm excited. Let's get Laurie on the phone. Hey Laurie, it's Taylor White. I'm excited to have you on the IREL podcast today, straight from Tiberias, Israel. So we can get to know you personally. Tell us about yourself and where your stomping grounds were before you ended up in Tiberias.
Well, shalom, Taylor. It's really a pleasure to be a part of your show. All of us here at Alon Properties extend our most sincere thanks. Personally, my family is from a small farm town in western Pennsylvania. Beautiful green valleys with large lakes, farmlands, forest, and lots of mountains. Both my husband and myself prefer a small town home base in a country area with easy access to the major cities and everything they have to offer. But even in such a peaceful setting, I guess I've always been someone who just can't sit still, always working and moving through life at a pretty good pace, looking for something new and different. And if I couldn't find it, I built it.
Awesome, Laurie. And so we can get a better idea of you professionally, give us your brief resume leading up to working at Alon Properties.
It's a pleasure, Taylor, but I'd like to insert a little bit about the gentleman at our firm as well, if I can.
Of course.
The principals of Alon Properties, Alon Golan and Yosef Cohen, are native Tiberianes, both from Tiberias, and both have lived and worked in the States also for a number of years in real estate and related businesses. While I am the native English speaker for the company and primary point of contact, we work as a team to ensure that our clients receive the very best professional services. My personal career history is a bit diverse. From a background in the high-tech industry selling multi-million-dollar automation systems and software solutions to producing special events in venues branded by Major League Baseball and the PGA, and then working with my husband to develop distribution networks and business relationships for prestigious premium cigar factories in Nicaragua, Honduras, and the Dominican Republic. All of this, I firmly believe, was life's on-the-job training and preparation for my new life here and career in Israel.
Great, Laurie. Now we are getting more familiar with who you are both on a personal and professional level. Let's start to dig into your journey just a little bit. Take us back to your mindset. What were some of the reasons why you decided to look at other countries to begin with years ago? And then maybe which countries you were considering before choosing Israel?
Wow, this could be hard to put into a nutshell, Taylor. But let's see. As my husband and I were blessed to travel extensively for the premium cigar business, we were able to spend time in some truly beautiful countries. Too much world, too little time. We also had a great timeshare in Aruba, and at one point we're trying to decide between there and Nicaragua. We both pretty much had enough with the big cities. Too many people, just too congested. I think you get what I mean.
Absolutely.
Really just sensory overload, too much. We realized that we could actually pick up and leave at any time, but the idea remained a dream for just a little while longer. As our business ventures continued, we had a life-changing event, at which point we became very serious about the direction of our lives. In addition to being a stockbroker, he was also a professional pyrotechnician and was in the center of a fireworks explosion during a 4th of July display at the Naval Military Academy in Annapolis, Maryland in '94, a show he had been firing for almost 20 years. So, from this point, we decided to begin seriously considering what the quality of our lives would be from that point on. We decided that the perfect terrain would include the amazing beauty and diversity of almost every climate, from the hot desert to the snow-capped mountaintops, along with the forest, bodies of water, and lush agricultural fields. The perfect business environment would be an aggressive, high-tech industry with worldwide impact, especially in the medical field for my husband's needs. The perfect balance for our personal lives would honestly be like the world we grew up in, based on the importance of the family and warmth of the communities. All of this we honestly found in Israel, specifically here in Tiberias.
Laurie, listeners and I are always fascinated to learn about which countries people have considered and why. Now, let's delve deeper into Israel as a whole and then why you chose Tiberias in particular versus other popular Israeli locations like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem.
Honestly, Taylor, we find that Tiberias, here on the shores of the beautiful, beautiful Kinneret, otherwise known as the Sea of Galilee, offers a much higher quality of life and a more affordable cost of living, at least for the time being. There are what are called the 4 holy cities of Israel, of which Jerusalem and Tiberias are 2. Both offer unparalleled excursions into the religious histories of Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. One primary difference is the sensory overload factor. In addition to hundreds of thousands or millions of people in Jerusalem, every day you live the reality of the political struggles, along with the high cost of housing and living, which are very, very difficult, especially for the new immigrant. The challenges with Tel Aviv are very similar, as the environment is more like a city or Chicago. Everything is modern, new, and shiny, and the cost of housing and living reflect this as much or more so than even in Jerusalem. Tiberias, in only a few short years, will shortly be celebrating its 2000th anniversary, and there is an energy here unlike anything I've felt in 30 years. It is building, growing, and has become the second best real estate market in Israel, second only to Tel Aviv, which is very impressive. In addition, you can easily reach most of the major cities in Israel within 2 hours by car or bus. At this point in time, the real estate market here is greatly undervalued in comparison to the rest of the country. But we really don't expect this to last much longer, as people here are finding that they simply get more for their money in Tiberias. There is nowhere to go but up, as you buy at the top of the market in all the other cities.
Well, Laurie, I haven't been to Tiberias yet, but through my travels, I am a firm believer in that I either get a place or I don't. Share with us some reasons why Tiberias speaks to you.
Well, you'll love this, Taylor. Tiberias
All right.
it doesn't just speak to me. It screams. It literally screams. First, we bought our apartment sight unseen, a leap of faith, and you might want to call it. Tiberias is truly a combination of Mayberry and the wild, wild west. You can build a family and a good life here in Tiberias. The people are warm and welcoming, and our new mayor is working very hard with the business community. This is the perfect city for entrepreneurs, where you can plant your feet, buy a great home or business, and really build something very special.
Laurie, we have gotten to know you both personally and professionally, reasons why you chose Israel and why Tiberias speaks to you. But get ready, because now it's time for us to pick your brain on the local real estate scene and to get the juices flowing. We're going to do a quick round of what I like to call the real estate hot seat, where I ask you 5 rapid-fire questions, and you give me an answer in 15 seconds or less each. Laurie, are you ready for the Tiberias hot seat?
Ready when you are, Taylor. Let's go.
All right. What currency is real estate priced in?
Properties are priced in Israeli shekels, which is considered a very stable currency.
Is owning property as a foreigner legal?
Absolutely. The buyer will need a valid passport, but apostilles are much better.
Can property be titled?
Yes, properties can be titled. It is very important to work with a reputable agent such as Alon Properties. Some of the zoning can be complicated for raw land purchases, but not so much for homes and apartments. In any case, a good attorney is a must, along with solid financial services, and we are very happy to make recommendations for either as needed.
Can money flow in and out of Israel easily, or are there currency restrictions?
As you know, every country has their standard money laundering protection clauses. It is no different here in Israel. But for the most part, if the money is from a clean source, there are no problems.
And as listeners know, Laurie, my number one question, what is your favorite local drink?
Okay, Taylor. I seem to be somewhat addicted to something called a limonana, made of fresh squeezed lemons with lots and lots of pulp blended with fresh mint. Really delicious and refreshing.
Laurie, I'm going to go off script just a little bit. I hope you don't mind. Can you briefly maybe talk about the Israeli shekel as a currency in relation to like the U.S. dollar maybe, as I'm sure a lot of listeners might be listening and say, what can my dollar buy there? Or even what's the currency exchange rate today?
Okay, the Israeli shekel is tied strongly to the U.S. dollar. Our banking systems are very similar. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, it is trading at 3.5 shekels per U.S. dollar. That is about the lowest that it's been. The beginning of the year, it started about 3.7. It's about 3.5 right now. As the U.S. dollar takes a hit, sometimes, the Israeli shekel also has a little bit of a challenge. But still, more often than not, you will find prices here a lot more aggressive, and you'll get more for even your dollar here. But now is the best time. Don't wait too much longer.
Fantastic breakdown, Laurie. Okay, now you can relax, but just a little bit, as you are off the Tiberias hot seat. But it's time to zero in on the local real estate scene. Give us your brief synopsis on the Tiberias real estate market over the last few years, where it is today, and then where you see it heading for the next few years.
Well, at this point in time, we see the real estate market in Tiberias as somewhat of a gold mine. I realize that many others say the exact same thing. The big difference here is that Israel is such a very small country. Land is at a premium, and there is a finite amount of space and property in the desirable areas. Most of the cities in Israel are topped out, so to speak. They sell at the top of the market. And while they may realize a small increase in real and intrinsic value, the ability for the average buyer to enter the market really does not exist so much. An example would be a home purchased by a friend about 3 years ago here in Tiberias. They have a lovely 2-story apartment with 6 rooms, which, as you know, 5 bedrooms and a salon, 2 balconies with a spectacular view of the water and surrounding mountains of the Sea of Galilee, in an excellent family neighborhood, with approximately 215 square meters of living space. They paid a little more than 630,000 shekels. Today, in Tiberias real estate market, they can easily sell this for 900,000 to 1 million shekels. Deals like this don't happen every day here, but you can see how quickly the market has changed in just the past few years. The same apartment in Jerusalem would sell for 2 to 3 million shekels, and almost double in Tel Aviv or even more. The real values here, in addition to a private home, are the properties for long-term rental income yielding an average of 5 to 6%, up to over 8%. Added to the intrinsic market value, you've made a pretty good deal.
Laurie, you have us sold on Israel as a country, Tiberias as a location, and then its real estate outlook within the near future. Of course, you don't have a crystal ball. I sure as heck don't. No one does, but that is why I think it's so vitally important to get on-the-ground insight from local real estate professionals. And yes, I just used the words local and on-the-ground in the same sentence to drive home a very important fact. Laurie, you are not some newsletter writer who might spend a few days in Tiberias and then send out emails with hot buys calling yourself an international real estate guru. You are there in the trenches on a daily basis, dealing with local buyers, sellers, agents, lawyers, and every facet of the real estate business. Laurie, break this down even further for us. Pretend you are Google Maps or Google Street View. What streets, neighborhoods, or parts of the city are we talking about in Tiberias?
My pleasure, Taylor. And of course, as you know, this will vary based on if the purchase is for living, business, or investment purposes. In Tiberias, the more mature neighborhoods called Shikun Aleph, Shikun Daled, Rabbi Akiva, Ravakia, and Kiryat Moshe, most are historic names or biblical names, are excellent for low-cost housing options very close to the city, as well as for investments. You can buy apartments here for as little as 350 to 370,000 shekels, offering a good return as well as the potential to sell at a nice profit down the road. Also for living and investment purposes, the lovely neighborhoods of Kiryat Shmuel, Shikun Gimel, Shikun Bet, and Mordot offer beautiful homes, more modern, and apartments, most with lovely panoramic views of the water and mountains. In addition, you will find many multi-unit villas at what we consider bargain prices, which offer rental income combined with private living. Some folks even turn them into boutique bed and breakfasts, as Tiberias is known worldwide as the tourism capital of North Israel, with more than 3 million people during the course of the high season and growing. There are other excellent locations in North Israel which we recommend as well, including Leit Yavna'el, Migdal, Arbel, Livnim, Perea, Tel Ketzir, Ramot Naphtali, and Kinneret. Really very beautiful communities, offering amazing homes and easy access to every major road and everywhere you want to be in Israel. For business purposes, there are also very attractive opportunities. You can have a great retail shop in the heart of the boutique shopping district, a successful waterfront restaurant beautifully located on the boardwalk with immediate access to the water and all of the guests from the tour boats, or a stylish restaurant and pub in a historic building, beautifully restored. These opportunities almost always include the kitchen equipment, all the furnishings, with the owner many times offering to stay on board to assist the new owner. Other unique properties include luxury hotels in the mountains with fabulous views, and private villas with many dunams of fruit orchards, olive groves, and vineyards, whose grapes are made into internationally acclaimed and honored wines. Honestly, there is something for everyone here, Taylor.
Laurie, now that we have specific locations in mind, what types of properties do you recommend? And first, let me give you a few brief examples of what I mean. Are we talking about buying pre-construction units for capital appreciation that we later flip? Are we talking about buying completed apartments, houses, or office spaces to generate rental income? Or are we talking about buying land to either sell as is or subdivide into smaller tracts? Laurie, give us a better idea about what you are talking about and recommending today.
If I may, I'd like to recommend a few different types, as every buyer has a different need. First will be the less expensive apartments for living or investment in the mature neighborhoods because of their income and resale potential. Second will be the multi-unit villas offering rental income, resale potential, and even more is the land value and building rights, both of which are huge value here in Israel. Third will be the historic properties, which we really haven't touched on yet, Taylor. There are gorgeous black stone buildings hundreds of years old with fabulous arched ceilings, hand-painted tiled floors, and everything beautifully and authentically restored. Perfect for boutique holiday accommodations or amazing private homes. Fourth, I like to call the premium properties, one of which is located at the top of one of the mountains with an eastern view of the gorgeous Hula Valley in North Israel. It is a simply spectacular mountain lodge, constructed tongue and groove from solid red cedar timbers, specifically imported from British Columbia, offering sophisticated private living, additional land, a very well-known gourmet restaurant with professional kitchen, luxury zimmers, and secluded cabins with private gardens and outdoor hot tubs, perfect for an ongoing upscale hospitality business, or excellent for business retreats and company perks, or luxury spa destination. There are so many options, and all the furnishings, of course, and equipment are included.
Okay, Laurie, now I'm going to hit you up with a two-part question that I know everyone wants to know, and you have to give us a general range so you have some price points in mind. Here they are. Part 1. What would be the price range of what we are talking about? Maybe give us a starting price point at the low end to a final price point at the high end. And Laurie, just to clarify, I am talking about total purchase price.
Okay. On the lower level, entry level, we're talking about 350 to 370,000 shekels for affordable apartments for living or investment. On the higher end, we're talking up to 8 million shekels for luxury residential property and up to 20 million shekels for commercial property. Of course, there are the agent's commission plus tax on top of this.
Okay, Laurie, let's transition to a part 2. What would be the cost per meter? Again, maybe a starting price point at the low end and a final price point at the high end, just for a general range.
Excellent. Roughly speaking, Taylor, you're looking at about 4,000 to 4,500 shekels per square meter at the low end, up to 6,000 to 9,000 shekels per square meter at the high end.
And for listeners like me who are used to dealing in square feet, divide the number you hear by 10.76, or maybe just a flat 10 to keep it easy, and you get close enough numbers to get an idea about what Laurie is referring to. Okay, Laurie, this is a question I like to call, what would Grandma do? My grandma calls you up, says she has X amount of dollars to spend. You know, you can't let my grandma down. Share with us 3 specific examples you would show her and explain why these make sense.
I love this question, Taylor. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. Grandma, let's see. We must take care of Grandma. Let's see. Okay, Taylor. So we realize that Grandma has a finite amount of money and is not able to absorb a great deal of risk. So we want to be very confident that not only will her return be good and consistent, but that the intrinsic value, the equity, will provide a balance if anything unforeseen should occur and she may need to sell, right? Let's see. With this in mind, our first recommendation is for Grandma to buy 1, 2, or as many of the lower-priced apartments as her budget permits. They meet the criteria set forth above and are easily rented, with purchase prices beginning at 350,000 shekels and rents from 1,800 to 2,000 shekels per month. It's a nice income with good resale potential, roughly 5.8% return. Our second recommendation would be for a multi-unit villa. In addition to meeting the criteria, Grandma's property is in a single location, not spread out through the city or region, making it very manageable. One in particular offers 3 separate apartments, new construction with gorgeous Jerusalem stone exterior and multiple balconies with a purchase price of only 2.1 million shekels, with rental income of approximately 11,000 shekels per month, roughly a 6.2% return. Our third recommendation for our dear Grandma is a fabulous historic property, beautifully and authentically renovated with high arched ceilings, original wood-framed bookshelves, cupboards and window shutters, and hand-painted tile floors. Just gorgeous, Taylor. This particular property is hundreds and hundreds of years old, built of hand-cut black stone, offering a private garden and parking. It is listed at 900,000 shekels, and due to its location and construction, may be rented for either residential or commercial purposes for at least 4,000 shekels per month, roughly a 5.3% return. These are solid, reliable investments for Grandma, better than any banks, and real estate in a growing market is always an excellent investment.
Laurie, we are laser focused on specific areas of Tiberias. We know our starting price point. We have an idea of cost per meter. We have 3 specific examples which are good enough even for Grandma. Now let me ask you an obvious question. How do we buy? Do we need to come in with all cash, whether that's from our checking account, home equity line of credit, or retirement funds? Or can we come in with a certain percentage down and get local financing from a bank or credit union?
Everybody loves a pure cash sale, right, Taylor?
Yep.
Let's see. But today's market is not always so simple. One of the great aspects of buying in Israel is that our banking system is very closely tied to that of the states, like we discussed, so transactions can go fairly smoothly. The banks pretty much never give 100% financing, and a down payment of 10 to 25% is normal, which goes directly into an escrow account. This removes the property from the market until the transaction can be completed. The balance, of course, would come from the bank or from one of the several excellent mortgage brokers.
Okay, Laurie, anyone who has ever owned real estate can tell you, you need to have a money exit strategy in place even before you buy. It's something what I like to call, where's the cheddar? You are buying the property to do what with it to make some money. So, Laurie, where's my cheddar?
Okay, the cheddar, Taylor, I would say is in the long-term rental income as combined with the very real intrinsic value, which has nowhere to go but up in the dynamic real estate market of Tiberias. As touched on before, Tiberias is undergoing an amazing transformation, literally right before our eyes, Taylor. The city is building and growing like I haven't seen since the 60s in the States. The people here are beginning to recognize the value of what they have and how very unique and special it is in comparison to the rest of the country. The market here is changing every day, and the properties will continue to escalate in price as the city continues to build.
Laurie, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to share with us about Tiberias real estate. We have heard about your journey, why you chose Israel, exact areas of Tiberias to focus on, price points to look out for, specific examples good enough even for Grandma, a money strategy to purchase, and then what we might do with it after the fact to make some cheddar. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye. But before we do, share with us easy ways to get a hold of you, any parting advice you might want to share, and then let's say goodbye.
Yes, it really has been a great pleasure, Taylor. Thank you again. My best advice is to act now. It will be our pleasure to get all the information needed about the property, legal counsel, and financial contacts as well to make a decision. And for heaven's sake, don't think it to death. I can't tell you how many people in just the last 2 weeks are crying to me as they waited just a single day to make a decision only to find the property they wanted already sold. The market in Tiberias is that hot. The properties do sell that quickly. Last year, we launched our new English website with a very simple name, realestatenorthisrael.com. And we invite everyone to visit realestateisrael.com, especially to sign up to receive the periodic exclusive new property listings emails. We are also working on a revolutionary new real estate property lottery program, and we hope to have the first property released in the very near future. Should be a very exciting year at Alon Properties North Israel. Our email address is realestatenorthisrael@yahoo.com, or you may call me directly at 011-972-58-665-2574. Typically, I work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Israel time, Sunday through Thursday. Our offices are closed on Friday and Saturday, but we do have a 24-hour telefax, which you can reach by dialing 011-972-077-433-9060.
Awesome, Laurie. I have really enjoyed this conversation straight from Tiberias, Israel to our earbuds, and I hope we can catch up again in 3 to 6 months.
Taylor, many, many thanks from Alon, Yosef, myself, and the Alon Properties team for the invitation and the opportunity. It's really been a pleasure.
I want to thank Laurie once again for her fantastic take being on the ground in Tiberias. Laurie is the prime example of what this show is all about, local and on the ground, and I can't wait to get her back on the show again soon with more specific Tiberias real estate investments she believes you need to hear about right now. If you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Laurie's contact details, links on buying or selling Tiberias real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/14. Are you a real estate agent like Laurie with an amazing story you want to share? Do you have properties located in the world's most desired hotspots, just waiting for buyers? Well, guess what? I want to help. Whether you're a Canadian in Mexico, an Aussie in Malaysia, or an American in Israel like Laurie, I invite you to share it with my eager listeners. Head on over to irelpodcast.com/14 to get started. And together, we will share your story.
You have been listening to the IREL Podcast with Taylor White. Be sure to hit up irelpodcast.com for more. That's irelpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.